Hi guys, Plot Twist Movie Recaps here. Today, we'll be recapping another interesting movie. In the meantime, please like and subscribe to our channel. We do not recap a movie unless it has a plot twist in it. It may only take a few seconds for you, but it allows us to upload daily videos as soon as possible. Let's get started. A mysterious man arrives at the offices of an FBI agent and recounts his childhood, how his religious fanatic father received visions telling him to destroy people who were in fact demons. The movie begins on a cool evening as a man named Wesley drives into the FBI headquarters in the city of Dallas, Texas by 10 p.m. He is an FBI agent. As he gets to his office, the junior agent informs him that the man in his office, Fenton, claims to have information on the God's Hand serial killer but has refused to disclose any information except it is to Agent Wesley, who is in charge of the God's Hand case. He enters the office and finds Fenton holding the photo frame which holds a picture of him and his mother. He takes it back and tells Fenton not to take things from his desk, and he places the photo frame back on his desk. Agent Wesley sits down and grabs a pen and asks how he can be of help. Fenton then tells Agent Wesley that he knows who the God's Hand killer is. Agent Wesley doesn't believe him and doubts his statement instantly. He explains that in this type of case, people can't just walk into the FBI office and tells who the suspect is. Fenton tells him that the killer is his own younger brother Adam and informs the agent that he got a phone call from his brother the previous night. Adam told him that demons were taking over the world and requested to take and bury his body in the rose garden, and then he hung up. After the call, Adam walks over to his desk, gulps down a drink and then grabs a gun. He points the gun to his head and pulls the trigger, killing himself. Fenton says that he buried his brother a long time ago since he promised. Agent Wesley gets up from his seat, leaves the office and goes to the nearest phone. He contacts the local sheriff's office and requests to speak to the sheriff. The receptionist answers the call and informs the agent that the sheriff is unavailable at that moment. Agent Wesley asks the receptionist if they know Fenton. She replies that they know him. She tells him that he stole an ambulance along with his brother, Adam's dead body. Agent Wesley goes back into the office. He is interested now in what Fenton has to say. He starts to ask for the details, but Fenton cuts him off. Fenton asks if the woman in the photo frame was the agent's mother. Agent Wesley answers him and then asks him to continue what he was saying earlier and with details. Fenton begins to narrate. He says that it started when they were still young boys in the 70s. He used to live with Adam behind the rose garden. Their mother died when she was giving birth to Adam and he had been taking care of him ever since. Their father was a mechanic and they had a normal life until one evening. They were woken up in the middle of the night. He instructed them to listen carefully to what he had to say. Their father told them that he had gotten a revelation from God. He told them that the end was near and that they had been chosen by God to get rid of the demons, walking and living among them. He added that the angel who conveyed the revelation had called them God's Hand. Young Fenton stared at his father blankly. His father was not making sense, and without any evidence to back up his words, Fenton believed his father was losing his mind. The next morning, their father woke them up to get ready for school. Fenton thought that the events of the previous night were a dream. His father was back to normal and this made him wonder if the events of the night before were truly just a dream. Their father dropped them off at school as normal, and as they got off, he told them not to tell anyone what had happened during the night. Fenton then paused, realizing that it was not a dream after all. Fenton further narrated that magical weapons were revealed to his father on his way to work that day. Their father had seen a brilliant beam of light being directed on a worn-out barn and he decided to approach it. That night, he brought home a double-sided axe with Otis written on it and a pair of gloves. Next, he came home shouting out for his sons. He was excited to unveil the other magical weapon. He unwrapped a cloth and revealed a short steel pipe. This completed the weapon sent by God. Their father informed them that the angel would reveal the list of the 7 demons that they had to get rid of. While Fenton was doing the dishes that night, his father confronted him about their mission to eliminate the demons. He tells Fenton that he realizes that everything that he has told them sounded crazy, but he insisted that it was all true. He showed Fenton the first list. It was revealed to him while he was at work. Fenton tried to report his father to the local sheriff before he killed someone. One night, his father came in late. Fenton looked out the window and saw his dad carrying a body wrapped in cloth. He decided to check things out and went to the back of the house. He found his father trying to unlock the shed while a woman that was tied up with her mouth taped lay on the ground. When he was able to unlock the shed, he carried the woman inside the shed. He told the boys that the woman was a demon. Fenton tried to convince his dad not to go through with it, but his father justified the act as God's command. Then his father slowly neared her and touched her, and she shrieked as if she was in pain, and he quickly withdrew his hand. He looked at her in fear and terror. He looked like he had seen something dreadful, and then he swung the axe and slaughtered the woman. That same night, They went to the rose garden and buried the chopped up body. His father instructed him not to cry for her, stating that she was a demon. In response, Fenton threatened to tell the authorities if his father tried to kill again, and his father told him that someone would die if that happened. Back in the present, Fenton tells Agent Wesley that the bodies of the God's Hands victims are buried in the rose garden. The agent is doubtful and asks why Fenton didn't tell him that sooner. Fenton replies that he wouldn't believe him if he did. They both head out of the building. Agent Wesley handcuffs Fenton and leads him into the back of his police car and drives off to the rose garden. While they are on the road, Fenton brings up the photo frame again. He asks why Agent Wesley has his mother's picture in his office. Agent Wesley answers that his mother was murdered a few days after that photo was taken. Fenton continues to narrate his story. He says that one day when they got home, there was a white van parked outside their house. Their father told him that they were going to cancel their sleepover because they had some work to do. They stalked the second victim, a bald old man. He parked his cat and went into a convenience store. Their father told Fenton to do as they had planned, but Fenton refused. He was afraid that they would be seen. It was broad daylight and there were people everywhere. Young Adam tried to volunteer, but their father told him that how time would come, but it was Fenton's turn. Moments later, the old man came out and walked toward his car. Fenton saw him but didn't inform his father, who was distracted. But his father saw him and instructed Fenton to go ahead with the plan. Fenton went out and went to the old man's car and looked under it, calling out for his pet dog. The old man tried to help and looked under the car, and his father knocks him out with the state pipe. The old man regains consciousness later. His father touched the old man and had the same reaction as the first demon they had killed. His father grabbed the axe and killed the old man too. Fenton dug up a grave for the body, and when their father left, he convinced his brother to escape from their father, but Adam refused and said that he could see the visions too whenever their father touched the demons. Adam defended their father's acts as God's will and ran off. The next day, Fenton was instructed to dig a perfectly square hole in the ground. It was to be 10 feet deep and 15 feet wide on all sides. His hatred for God kept him digging. Nothing could convince him that killing the supposed demons was right, not even his father or angels. He dug even when his hands had blisters and bled. He didn't use the gloves his father gave him. By the 6th day, he was done digging the hole. They built a cellar, and after they had finished with it, they covered it with dirt and moved the shed on top. Not long after, his father brought another demon, but this time he handed Fenton the axe. Fenton couldn't bear the thought of killing the man, so he ran away. He reached the sheriff's office and reported his father. The sheriff did not believe him and tried to contact his father. Fenton insisted that he was telling the truth and offered to show him the evidence. Then the sheriff took him home and spoke to Fenton's father about the situation. They eventually went to the shed but found nothing there. Fenton tried to convince the sheriff that his father had moved the body elsewhere and offered to show him the rose garden where all the bodies were buried, but the sheriff just walked away. The sheriff fell suddenly from the stairs and Fenton's father descended with his face full of pain and sorrow. Fenton's father struck him dead with the axe. After the murder, while Fenton dug the hole for the body, his father told him that he had never liked the man before, and Fenton argued that he had seen him kill many times before. His father insists that they were demons and not humans, and that he had been forced to kill a man because of Fenton's actions. After the body had been buried, his father ordered him to go down to the cellar. Fenton apologized and tried to convince his father that he would not tell anyone again. After a struggle, his father locked him in the cellar as a punishment till he had repented. After a week had gone by, his father opened the cellar door and asked if God had spoken to Fenton yet. Fenton remained stubborn and told his father that God didn't exist. Fenton's father shut the cellar door without a second thought. Days had passed and Fenton was no longer responding. His father opened the cellar door and wet his lips. Fenton's father was relieved when he saw that Fenton was still alive. Fenton also claimed that this time, he had seen God. Later on, they went to their next victim in the suburbs. Fenton claimed that he was ready for his mission of capturing a demon. Then they approached the house, knocked on the door, and the thug answered. Fenton and his father told the thug that they needed help. They needed a tire iron. The thug led them to the back and bent to look for the tire tool. While this happened, Fenton accidentally backed up on a hammer and made it fall. The thug, who was quick thinking, reacted fast and hit the father in the guts with a tire iron. Then Fenton threw a wrench at the thug, and this distracted him long enough as his father landed a blow to his head and knocked him out. They returned home and proceeded to the cellar to kill the thug. Fenton held the axe while his father knelt and touched the thug to see his past sins. Afterwards, Fenton's father ordered him to destroy the demon. Fenton stared down at the victim and took a minute before he swung the axe. To everyone's shock, he struck his father in the chest instead. Adam screamed for his father as he fell to the ground. The father then whispered something to Adam's ears and died shortly after. Fenton had run to the thug and removed the tape on his mouth, but before he could untie the ropes, his younger brother ran towards them and swung the axe downwards. They have arrived at their destination. Fenton leads the agent through the dark path with overgrown vegetation. Fenton continues his story. In the flashback, Fenton tells Adam to promise that he will bury him in the rose garden. In the present, that bit confuses Agent Wesley, who says that it wasn't making sense. Fenton insists that it does make sense, and he reveals that he is the younger brother, Adam. Afterwards, he turns and leads Agent Wesley to where the bodies were buried. He explained that since their father couldn't get rid of the real Fenton, he did it instead and continued the God-given command of destroying the demons. He had seen the sins of those victims that his father had touched when he was still a young child. The woman had committed murder. He saw the horrible acts of pedophilia that the old bald man had done and more. Right then, Agent Wesley pointed his gun at Adam and told him that he is insane like his father. Agent Wesley is shocked when Adam replies regarding the death of Agent Wesley's mother. He states that Agent Wesley was the one who had murdered his mother in cold blood. Agent Wesley is triggered by this and he lunges at Adam, but once they make contact, the horrid event of the matricide is revealed. Adam pushes Agent Wesley into the grave that he had dug for him earlier and he kills him using the same axe that God had sent to them. The movie ends with the junior FBI agent visiting the local city while trying to investigate the death of Agent Wesley. He can't recall Adam's face. He is now the local sheriff. They go to review the footage from the CCTV, but the footage is not clear and is somewhat static. They show Adam outside the police station as he kisses the lady who was the receptionist at the beginning. Plot twist. Turns out that what we thought was a confession from a troubled and burdened brother was just a ploy to lure the agent to his death. Also, Fenton wasn't who we thought he was actually Adam, and the agent was a demon too. What do you think about this movie? Share your opinion with us in the comment section below. Please subscribe and turn on post notifications for our daily uploads. See you in the next videos and thanks for your support.